Hey everybody, I'm Maria Campbell, founder of Cooks Who Care, and we are always trying to find people in the Philadelphia area to dive deeper into stories that really matter to you. It's not just about being a chef, it's not just about being in the business in a very hyper-specific way that you see relevant, it's about what other people are doing that surrounds our community. Today we are at Greensgrow Gardens to talk with Ryan, who is amazing and doing incredible things here for you to check out. I'm so happy to share about their garden center and community space and things that they are doing as boots on the ground to connect people to urban farming and growing and planting. And you're gonna see for yourself through the video work we do. Thanks for joining us, and please make sure that you subscribe to our channel, like, comment, and share.
I learned how to farm in Philadelphia. I grew up in Tennessee. My grandparents were all farmers and everything, but it wasn't part of my upbringing. But when I was at architecture school, I was sitting there 3 years in, couldn't build a shed. It was like, I was at Penn, it was so theoretical. I just wanted something tangible. I saw a flyer one day to go plant carrots with kids or something. So I showed up and dropped out of school immediately. And now I have 20 years of a career in urban agriculture, which I never would have expected. but now I got plants on my arms and all kinds of shit. So definitely weird where life takes you. But when I wake up in the morning, it's like this farm has to have value to everyone living here. It can't just be the high-end chefs looking for the organic local produce. It has to be everyone that has to find a reason we're here. Otherwise, we're just a tool of gentrification. This whole movement on food has all been about figuring out how we're going back to naturally supporting systems instead of this hubris we've had for a long time that we're going to invent a better nature and that somehow it's going to work out for us, right? My title has always been Director of Special Projects. I've always kind of been good at creating a little niche for myself, which has allowed me to have family work balance, which has always been important. And definitely taking this role as director of Greensgrow, which is a place I've worked for 11 years before I stepped in as executive director, I realized that was going to be priority number one. I have twin boys at home. I definitely needed to make time for that, and knowing that in the industry, in the nonprofit industry, just like the restaurant industry, that balance is very, very hard to keep. And now I have a responsibility for 35 employees, right? So it's not just about myself anymore. It's making sure that the place keeps going on for them.
How do you think is something, maybe one very serious thing that you want to tackle as a priority? You're saying maybe, like you said, setting boundaries. What's something for yourself that you've created that maybe you never did before?
I've always wanted to be the type of artisan that will pick one thing and just do it extremely, extremely well, but that's just not me, right? I've always been a generalist. I've always had too many interests to really focus in, but I think there also is a lesson there around how you make sure you're focusing on things you learn from. So I think I tend to see a bright, shiny idea and just run after it. And so I gotta, again, now that I'm accountable to other people, not just myself, thinking about how do I filter those out? How do I pick those ones that maybe they're bright and shiny, we don't know, but what am I gonna learn from it? If I do this, if I know I don't have the resources to throw everything at it, is this something that I can throw something at and get it started, but am I gonna learn from that process? Or am I just gonna half-ass it and then I'm not gonna actually know anything at the end because you only half-assed it and that doesn't give you important information to move forward? And so that's been something I've been trying to build a discipline on myself is, okay, go after the bright, shiny idea, but make sure there's metrics at the end so you know, did this work or not in the short term rather than the long term, so you know whether it's worth your time or you can move on to the next bright, shiny idea. And so that's my challenge every day.
Oh yeah, I'm the same too. Very much ideas are never short on something that we need to do, but kind of refining and saying you're honing in. If I'm going to put resources into this, is that going to make sense for everyone? Something that we're even
More importantly, how am I going to know, right?
Yeah, how am I going to know?
Really, we're innovators in creating this idea of a nonprofit that can earn income, that we're not just chasing money or begging for money every day, but we're running, basically businesses. And I say 5 small businesses in this place, but people always look, other nonprofits are like, oh, we're so jealous, you have all this cash coming in, that's great, allows you to do all these things. And we're like, yeah, but it's a grind. This idea of imagine a restaurant, a retail business, it's every day. There's no turning off. You can't just not open one day because you're tired, and you have to be open more hours to get more people, right? There's no way you can cut yourself back. So if it's too much, and cutting your hours is only going to decrease your profit. It's not going to actually give you more space to think and dream. And so that is the thing that's always the balance here is how do we find efficiency in what we're doing while preserving this really unique and very flexible model for a business, but realizing that it does take a toll, and how do we make sure that our staff are insulated from that as much as possible.
Such great framing on all the connection points, and I do feel there's a gap of understanding, you know, and the infrequency of like, hey, oh, I got a menu for like next week, and oh, by the way, it's actually starting tomorrow because I've been working all week. And I get the perspective on their side because they don't have time to plan, but something that we're trying to really advocate for is like, if you just spent 15 minutes a little bit earlier before the end of the week to do your planning, you might be better off. And I think that those kind of interruption moments are really hard for people to manage. Plan in advance.
Yeah, I think if you're looking at using local food, you have to start from what's out there and how do I use it, as opposed to here's what I want to do, who's going to give me what I need. And it's flipping that script, and that's what I find that the chefs that are the most amazing to work with, and I think most chefs in general like to come with this idea of like, oh, I'm going to see this thing and be inspired, I'm going to create this wonderful dish, right? I think that's why we all get into the game, right? Is like that creativity and that excitement. And so how do you manifest that? How do you create the systems that allow you to go to a farmer and say, what do you have, you know, that I can use, you know, and then get inspired by what's there, instead of saying, oh, who's going to give me strawberries today in February? And who has that? And that pits us all against each other, trying to find the best sources, getting the first one in the market, and that's really bad for our industry.
Yeah, no, thank you. Beautifully said.